Hello my dear stitchy friends! My name is Marie and welcome to my Flosstube channel where we talk about cross stitch. It's Sunday, 10th of April 2022 here in the lovely town of Bury in South Wales in the UK, and I am so pleased to have you here. Whether you're new or returning, thank you ever so much for being here with me, and just sit back, relax. I hope you have some nice beverage or maybe even some stitching, and I hope you have some nice stitchy time with me. What we'll cover today. I will mention some great comments from my last video that had some really amazing tips in them, and I definitely think they're more than worth mentioning here. I will show you an FFO because I have one. I will show you one teeny tiny finish because I have one. I will show you my new start, potentially more than one, because yes, I did manage to start new things in the past 2 weeks. I will show you my haul, and I will draw my Pomodoro cross stitch project that I will be working on the next week. This is a good place to say probably that I will try to move away from long episodes. I feel like today's going to be a long episode, but I will try to sort of keep to the 30-minute bite-sized Flosstube episode, and this will mean that I will try to release an episode weekly because I still have quite a bit to say when I do the preparations. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say, and let's crack on with today's episode. Okay, so on to comments from last video. I wanted to thank Wendy Eastman because Wendy has, you know, I don't know if you remember, I've spoken about this sort of disaster where I have just started to close. I've cut the fabric quite short, quite small anyways, but I've, for an unbeknownst reason to me, I've started completely to, you know, next to the edge of the fabric, and Wendy has kindly suggested to wrap the board underneath in a sort of natural color fabric, which I have. I will just show you quickly. This is what I have. So it's quite a, it's not a bad match. And then to sort of fringe the edges and just to stick it on that wrapped board, which is, you know, I really like that suggestion. So thank you so much, Wendy. I will do that. I will try to have it ready for the next video. And it was really brilliant. Thank you. The next comment I wanted to mention is from Diane. If I butcher any names, I am sorry. Diane Hermes, she recommended a Plum Street sampler that has got a freebie called a Patriot sampler, based on me showing the Flanders Biscornu from Heartstrings Samplery, I think it was, last time. And I went on Plum Street sampler website and they indeed still have that freebie available. So thank you so much, Diane. It's a beautiful freebie. I'm definitely adding it into my stash, and I am going to link it in the description below just in case somebody would like a you know, remembrance sort of red poppy sampler that is really, really nice. And Diane also recommended a Flosstube, a wonderful Flosstube that I didn't know, and that is the one of Jean Farish. And oh my god, I am now Jean Farish's biggest fan. Well, not biggest fan, but I just, you know, I love it. I'm sure she's got lots of fans that love her as much as I do. Jean is showing so much on her channel, so many tips and tricks. I'm quite analytical. Like when I started cross stitching again, first thing I did, I went and found a cross stitching course that I took. So that's me. That's me. I am very like, I want to read about things. I want to learn things. I want to analyze things. I want to keep stats. Like that's very me. And Jean has got a really great Flosstube in a sense that she really puts things into context. She has got so much experience. She's a teacher of cross-stitching, and the way she presents things, the way she shows things, the way she sort of details everything, that is just, you know, just exactly what I love and what I need. So I love that. Thank you ever so much, Diane. Thank you for recommending Jean's Flosstube. And the reason why it was recommended is, well, I want to talk about it a little bit. It was because I asked in the last video whether people actually washed their over-dyed threads. And in one of the episodes, I'm going to link it down below. In one of the episodes, Jean has actually done an experiment where she has washed different colors by different brands and saw what the result was, whether there was any sort of color bleeding there. And the sort of conclusion was that Weeks Dye Works are color fast. They even say it on the you know, on the thread drop, on the floss drop that it comes on, it says color fast. But the Gentle Arts and the Classic Color Works, they don't say that. And the Gentle Arts, in fact, specifically say that it needs to be washed before use. So I decided to try that on my own. And I hope I've written everything down correctly, but I'm going to show you. I have used a color catcher. And so this is an unused color catcher, and this is a color catcher that was used to wash a Classic Color Works colors, Licorice Red and Bing Cherry. And, you know, that water really went proper pink and red. Like, if I was washing my finished piece, I was washing my fabric, and I saw the water going this pink, I'd probably completely freak out. So I'm really glad I actually washed it. So that was that. I didn't change the water. I just did it in the same one, so I don't know which one bled more. And then I washed a Cherry Cobbler, and that wasn't, you know, that wasn't bleeding much, but there is still a difference. There is still, you know, the color catcher still sort of caught some color bleed in there. Those are the reds. I also washed Gentle Arts, Green with Envy and Old Hickory, and I washed Black Coffee by Classic Color Works, and neither of them really bled. But what did help while washing it was that both Green with Envy and I think the Old Hickory as well, they came like sort of in this sort of twisted bundle, which, you know, that's like when you fall asleep with a braid and your hair is like mine, and then it looks like a, you know, sort of messy disaster the next day, the next morning. That's how it looked. It was really sort of frizzy, and this just helped completely. So what I did, I just sort of let it sit in lukewarm water for a minute or two. Then I took it out, I patted it with a kitchen towel, and then I hung it to dry overnight. As Jean explains, you're not actually washing the color from the thread off from inside the thread. It's just the surface color that didn't set in the dyeing process that is sort of washing away. And as you can see, these colors still look rather vivid, rather nice, I'd say. These are the Licorice Red and a Bing Cherry. Still very pretty. Everything all right. So that was my experiment based on Jean Farish's very thorough sharing of her experience. And based on this, I think I will continue sort of lightly washing any sort of Classic Color Works and Gentle Arts, but I will not be washing Weeks Dye Works, which are color fast. So that was it. Thank you again, Diane, for telling me about Jean. I really appreciate it. I also wanted to highlight a comment by Patsy Day. When I asked about sort of the stiffer fabric, Patsy said that on Aida cloth, when she gets an Aida cloth, she puts it in a dryer with a damp face cloth for 30 minutes to soften it up. I usually sort of iron it, but I thought if somebody wanted to try it, you know, I think it's a great idea. I would probably never do that with linen. I would be too scared, but Aida sort of takes, I think Aida is able to take quite a bit. So maybe a couple of minutes in a dryer, I think it would do wonders for people who like soft Aida, sort of, you know, some people obviously like to have Aida stiff. I'm not one of them. I like my fabric to be, you know, rather soft. So I think that's a good idea. And next time when I stitch on Aida from scratch, I think I will give it a try. So thank you so much, Patsy. I wanted to mention a subscriber or a commenter that is called Hayden1. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. This is a tip for our US friends, our US stitchers. Apparently, Michaels price matched an Amazon price for Dimensions kit. So the commenter, they were able to show in Michaels that the item is being sold by Amazon, that the kit, the Dimensions kit, is being sold by Amazon and is priced lower, and they, you know, Michaels just price matched it, which, you know, makes me very envious here in the UK that you've got places like that price match. I order on Amazon because, you know, I've got Amazon Prime and I know that it appears at my door the second day. But for people who don't have Amazon Prime, for people who prefer to go in the shop and, you know, see what they're buying, touch it, you know, see if they really like it, and that, I think this is a really handy tip to know about. And I also wanted to thank Claudia Stevens. Claudia has recommended Vana, the Twisted Stitcher channel for finishing tutorials. And oh my God, I mean, I didn't know about Vana, who is apparently, together with Jean Ferret, the absolute legends of Flosstube world. So, you know, apologies, I didn't know it, but thank you so much, Claudia, for telling me about Vana, because I've watched only a couple of videos and oh my God, like I want to know, I want to know how to do all these things, and I definitely will try to challenge myself to follow Vana's tutorials, to follow Vana's tips, and to start doing some creative finishes of my own. So thank you so much to all of my commenters. Thank you so much. You don't even know how sort of very heartwarming it is to see all your lovely comments and feel your support. It really is. I am more mindful since starting Flosstube about leaving a comment. I never used to do that, and now that I know how sort of nice it feels, because it still feels quite nervous when uploading a new video, and it feels like really nice when somebody says this was a good video, and I'm like, oh yes. Thank you so much for saying that, you know. Like, yeah, it genuinely, not to polish ego, it's more like, oh my God, thank you so much for it not being a disaster. So yes, thank you ever so much to everybody. And, you know, going forwards, whenever there is a good tip that is a, you know, stitchy tip, I will definitely include it in my videos, because I don't go through comments on other people's videos. I think few of us do, and it would be a shame to keep these gems sort of buried in comments under the video. So this will definitely be a permanent fixture in my videos. Thank you again, and now on to the next bit, which is my FFO. I have an FFO. It is definitely not a Vana, the Twisted Stitcher level of FFO, but I am proud nonetheless. So here it is. Ta-da! Bloom where you are planted. I already sort of edited in the thumbnail cover, so it, you know, might not be a surprise to see this, but you know, oh, I love it. It was my Pomodoro X-Stitch project in the previous week, and I stitched 699 stitches on it, and it was just these bits and sort of bits here and bits here, and otherwise it was all finished. I am so happy. And I used one of these plastic hoops. I just ordered it from Amazon as a set, and I used a cardboard to back it. I also used, because this is this fabric is 28 casual linen in antique white, and I have ordered it from the Cross Stitch Guild here in the UK. This is guild that was founded by the legend of UK cross stitch and maybe world cross stitch, Jane Greenough. And it being 28 count, you know, it was a little bit see-through. So what I did, I've taken the fabric that I've already shown you, and I've used it to put underneath the linen in the hoop. And then I have sort of cut it maybe like this. I've turned it in, and I have used glue to glue it in. I wanted to try to just use the cardboard. You know that trick with cardboard where you just sort of push it in and it sort of magically holds? It didn't magically hold for me. I had to glue it in. I was hesitant to do it, but then I thought, you know what, what's the probability that I will have to ever take it out? And I used let me just check, the tacky glue. I was able to get my hands on Eileen's, is it Eileen's? Yeah, Eileen's tacky glue here in here in the UK on Amazon. I was like, yes. You know, with majority of Flosstube and all the tutorials being from the US or based in the US, some of the products are different, but I still sort of, you know, I'm like, no, they said I need to use tacky glue, so I am going to use tacky glue. So I got my hands on America's greatest, or whatever they call it, America's best tacky glue, and I'm very happy about it. It holds perfect, and apparently it's acid free, so it shouldn't destroy my fabric or anything. So here it is again. It will go in the hallway. I wanted to just say something that I saw on Michelle Mama Loves UGB's channel that I had no idea about, and I'm so happy that I saw it there. So the plastic hoops, they come like this, right? So I would say no, like my stitch is like that, I won't be able to use it. But what I didn't know, let me just take it off quickly. There we go. What I didn't know until Michelle shown it is that you can flex this because it's plastic, and you are able to just put it on. Ta-da! Like this. So you only need to be sort of careful to get this right, to make sure it's centered. But otherwise, oh my God, it worked. Obviously it worked, because I used that neat trick on this. So thank you so much, Michelle, yet again, for saying something that absolutely saved my bacon. Right, I'm thinking whether I have forgotten to say something. I have forgotten to say that this design is by Stitchrovia, aka Emma Congdon, or the other way around, Emma Congdon, aka Stitchrovia. It is from the book Cross Stitch for the Soul, and I am on the lookout of the next, on the lookout for the next Stitchrovia design that I am going to stitch, and I can't wait to see what I choose. I've got so many bookmarked from her Cross Stitch for the Earth. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking something next. So that was my FFO, and the FO you've seen already. So this is finished. Okay, so a huge sort of labor on this. So I've added this backstitch and this backstitch, and it's finished. Oh my God. It was like 10 minutes maybe, including taking it out and putting it away. But you know what? We gotta celebrate all the little successes we can, isn't it? Because nobody does it for us. So this is stitched on 32 count Belfast linen in the colour flax and with quilt 4 DMCs. And it is by Faye from the Little Dove Cross Stitch, a UK designer, lovely UK designer. And now on to my whips and new starts. Right, so my, because this Flosstube is for 2 weeks, so the sort of the first week, that was week commencing the 28th of March, my Pomodoro project was the Bloom Where You Are Planted, which I also finished. Now this week, so week commencing the 4th of April, I have drawn the Visit Isengard by Country Magic Stitch. I am going to put the picture of the finished pattern on the, well, you can see it now, and this is where I got. So this is a bane for me, this project, oh my goodness. So originally I started on here, but I sort of dislike the top a little bit, and the reason for it is that I was stitching 10 with the, you know, the top, the bottom stitch, and then I went back a 10 with the with the top part of the stitch, and I was doing it like that, like 10 10 10 10. But because this is a one block of color, what happened with every time the 10 meet, there's obviously double amount of thread that meets over there. So I think you can even see it, like I can totally see it over here, over here, over here. There's like these, can you see this? There's like these lines that I know about. Oh, and I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know what I would do with it. So I decided to sort of leave this for a little bit, sleep on it another 300 days. And I counted, went all the way down and started on the bottom, and I sort of done the whole, I still do the, I think that's the Danish stitch, right? It's like I do the bottom leg and then I do the top leg when coming back, unless I have to finish a whole stitch for whatever reason, like variegated thread or whatever. But I've learned from my mistake, as you can see, and I went all the way. I didn't double up the thread anywhere. So this is sort of how it looks on the back of it. Right. And it does make a difference. So I have stitched 661 stitches on, sorry, 619 stitches on this using the Pomodoro X stitch, which means 30 minutes a day for at least 5 days a week for the week that it's called for. So I'm glad I made at least a little bit of progress on it, and I'm putting it away until I draw it again. And now on to new starts. Sorry for that weird voice, but I am so excited about the starts that I'm about to show you, honestly. So oh no, I showed it already. Anyways, I started the ever so beautiful Have Courage by the Cottage Garden Samplings. I am in love with this project, and it is my first ever 40 count, and I am in love with 40 count. And I have a serious issue with 40 count though, and that is that I want to start all my other projects on 40 count. So I want to take my Alice in Wonderland by All Forest Embroidery. I want to UFO it, and I want to start it on 40 count. I want to UFO my my Modern Folk Embroidery 2022 cell, and I want to start it on 40 count. I'm hooked. I'm totally hooked. It looks so nice and beautiful, and you know, the stitches are so tiny and so small and so beautiful and ever so pretty, and yeah, I am very hooked. And besides, I'm just in love with Cottage Garden Samplings. I love their Songbirds garden series, and Year in the Woods cell. It's so pretty. Yeah, I am stitching this on the Salt Bush Linen by Fox and Rabbit. I was sort of unsure about this in the previous video, but you know, it looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous on it. I love this linen. This is the first time for me, not only stitching on 40 count, but also stitching on Fox and Rabbit linen, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just the right amount of soft, and yeah, I love it. And I started in a way that it's gonna be like this. So there's definitely going to be space for some small on the side, for maybe some pillow or something like that. I'll first stitch it, and then I'll see how much space I've got left, and I'll choose something else beautiful to stitch on this wonderful linen. I'm stitching with all the called for overdyed Weeks Dye Works beautiful palette. I love it. If you hear weird sounds, that's our kitty cat. Hello, Mia. My next start, I love it. I love all my starts. I love all my whips, but I really love it. And that is the Love is the Key to Happiness by Teresa Kogut. Oh, I love it so much. Jesus. I write on it because this is a printout. I would never do that to an actual book pattern. I got my hands on this. I never thought I would, but I got my hands on this thanks to Mama Loves You GB. I already mentioned it in the previous video. Because she talked about Teresa's Patreon, so I was able to sign up to her Patreon, and on her Patreon there is, like, we get access to, not only do we get a monthly chart for free as part of the, you know, as part of the, excuse me, my allergy is starting to, you know, hit April in the UK. Yay, everything's blooming. So we get monthly chart as part of the Patreon sort of perk. I'm going to post this month's here. It's beautiful. But we also get access to purchase the previously released exclusive patterns. And this pattern was exclusive to the Nashville Needle Market, and I was able to get my hands on it like this. And even, you know, I didn't see it anywhere in the UK. I think I purchased it for $6. I'm going to put that in the description below because I have to check. But, you know, if you were ever considering to become Teresa Kogut's patron on Patreon, then this might just be the reason to do it. It's wonderful. And where did I get to? Well, I got to here. It's so pretty. I am stitching on 40 count Newcastle by Zweigart color Vintage Country Mocha, and I am using the called for combination of DMCs and overdyed floss, and it is so pretty. I don't know, I just love everything about it, guys. I love everything about it. The 40 count, the way it looks, and what I was thinking is that instead of like putting to personalize it basically, so I thought I would put our surname here, maybe sort of, or maybe initials, maybe our anniversary of like when we met and when we got married, because we're gonna have our 7th anniversary in July, but we've only had our 2nd anniversary in February, so we sort of celebrate both anniversaries quite quite equally, because it's not like the years before wedding didn't happen, right? So something sort of, I've got plenty of time to decide on what's it going to be. There's lots of stitching to be done. And I'm also going to see what others are going to do with it. I'm hoping to stalk some hashtag on Instagram, although I don't know if people have come up with a hashtag yet, but maybe, you know, love is the key would be that. And yeah, but if anybody's stitching on it as well, let me know. I'd love to follow you. I'd love to follow your progress. It's beautiful. So that's the second start. And the third start, do I have it? Yes, I have it. I just have to unclip it or unmount it from my lower stand. Just a second before I show you next start. Oh, she doesn't. Oh, she's just going to put her hair all over. Hello. Hello, you're showing your butt to everybody. Are you going to just say hi? No. No. No, no, no. She's got a mind of her own, like every cat. And she also has got 1,000 loose hair on her at all times, although she's brushed daily. I don't know where she gets it. Anyhow, so with a little help from this girl, I am going to show you my next start. And that's, I know it's a bit underwhelming, but this is, let me just, which way? This way around. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I started Hate. I have an unearthed design. And it is, isn't it? Well, I'm going to show you. It's She Sleeps from Stephanie Poimon Law. And this start is heavily inspired and, you know, pretty much like influenced by, oh my God, come on, not your butt again. Oh my God. Influenced by Laura Gurr, To the Moon and Back. You know, I've spoken about her in my first video. Laura was one of the first floss tubes I've ever seen. She had a profound effect on me, and I basically went and bought plenty of stuff when I saw them on her channel, and She Sleeps was one of them. So I've had She Sleeps for about a year now, for sure, maybe even a bit longer. And I've had it kitted for, you know, since the summer, maybe sort of June, July-ish. Excuse me, June, July-ish. But I just couldn't decide, like, what fabric am I going to stitch on? Am I going to use 18 count like Darcy? Am I going to use 25 count like Laura? Am I going to use 28 count like some people I've seen? Am I going to do half stitch? Am I going to do cross stitch? When I found out about half stitch or 10 stitch, I was like, oh, is it cheating? Then I was like, oh my God, but it's only going to take half the time. And then I saw Joe Belushi Stitches Flosstube, and I was like, oh my God, but I'm definitely going to be the type of person that it's going to start warping, and I'm not going to be able, I'm not experienced enough on full cover. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I've got like cat hair everywhere. Blah. Anyways, thank you, darling. I'm not experienced enough to be able to sort of rely on my stitching in a way that I'd be like, no, I know what to do to stop the warping. No, I wouldn't be able to do that. So, and I sort of constantly was, you know, on and off about it and couldn't decide. And then on Friday I was home alone and I was like, sod it, I'm going to start my Hate, whatever it takes. So I took the 25 count fabric. I decided to do a 1/1 full cross, and I couldn't decide. That's also one of the reasons why I've been putting it off, because it is a round design. And I think ordinarily I would start either either top left or bottom right, because of the way I stitch. But this obviously being around, I wasn't really confident in my counting, you know, being able to sort of hit the right point of where to start. I just didn't know how to do it, and I was, you know, I didn't have patience to count it and all of that. So I just started from the middle. I think it's pretty unconventional for a hay to be started in the middle, but sod it. I started it already. I've got, I know how many, I've got 786 stitches done, and it is a whopping 0.53% done. I counted that if I'm able to do 1/4% every stitching day that I work on it, which is approximately sort of 400-ish stitches, it's going to take me 400 stitching days. I'm going to be working on this for years, guys, absolute years. But my husband loves it. I loved it. The first time I saw it, I loved it. But interestingly enough, my husband doesn't, you know, comment too much on my stitching, but he really likes it too, like properly likes it. And it is one of the few designs that he sort of shown this much liking to. So I'm definitely going to be working on it gladly, and I think it might go somewhere like, you know, like a living room or something. Some of the samplers, and that I will keep them to my craft room, because, you know, it's perhaps not my husband's taste, but this hat will be one of the designs that will be in you know, living room, because he loves them too. And thank you again, Laura, for being such an inspiration for such a beautiful piece. I am very excited and very grateful. Okay, so those were all my 3 new starts, or everything I wanted to show you what I was working on. And just to give more stats, in the previous week I stitched 2,419 stitches. This week I stitched 2,490 stitches. So far, I might get some stitching done today, but not so sure. And the monthly stitches are 15,073 for the month of March. And you might wonder, sorry if you hear some outside sounds, there's, you know, the street is buzzing today. It's quite a nice weather, and everybody's out and about and weeding their gardens and running with their dogs and all that. Yeah, the reason I'm keeping my statistics is just to, it's really interesting to me, and it's also telling me about my ability, like my ability to finish something, or to be realistic when I want to work on something, like how quickly can I have it done, because it is very easy for me to get super excited about a project and overshoot it, you know, like yeah. So if I know it's realistic for me to do 2,500 stitches a week with my current, you know, lifestyle and responsibilities and everything else, then that is what I know is possible, and I can't aim for much more without giving something else up, right? So that's one of the reasons why I keep it. I also just like the stats. Now let me show you some haul. I have started acquiring some sort of finishing items. Sorry for the crinkles if you don't like ASMR. I really enjoyed Darcy's latest video where he talks about stitching in ASMR. I'm a big ASMR fan. So crinkling is not making me run away or sort of, you know, switch off the sound or something, but I know that some people do. So to those people, I'm sorry for crinkling just now. And I'm going to show you what I bought. So I bought this sort of lace. I don't think I checked the centimeters, or maybe it was inches, because inches don't really tell me anything. I grew up with centimeters, so if you say 5 centimeters, I'm gonna, yeah, that's, you know, that's quite big. If you say 5 inches, I'm like, yeah, that's all right, whatever. Talking about not being able to sort of realize the size of things when it's, you know, the description is in inches. So what I wanted was embroidery scissors that look really nice in on Instagram pictures, right? We need to make those Instagram pictures nice, don't we? And I thought, well, let me look on eBay and look at a couple of those. I ordered one, and it was meant to, you know, this was the sort of thing I was going for. You know, it was like meant to be this pretty nice little embroidery scissors lying next to my project. I got this. I bloody got this. I don't know how it happened. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. It's not like I'm gonna, you know, not use it. I'm going to probably use it for fabric or something. But how could I not realize when pressing the order button that it's not this, that it's this? It's totally me. It's 100% me, this. So I hope it amused you like it did me when I opened the envelope. Anyhow, so I ordered this lace. I didn't quite realize that it was going to be this big, but I think I would be able to use it in finishing, like on a pillow, but not as a border, but like sort of to put it across the bottom and sew it in or something like that. It's gonna be nice. Then I ordered a couple of pom-poms. I'm going to link the Etsy shop below. They were really nice. You know, I always think that the quality of the shop can be measured by what happens when things go wrong. And what happened is that they sent me all the things that I ordered, but they forgot to add this mustard colored pom-pom bit. And I reached out to them and I received it the next day. The next day it was here. I received it. It was lovely. They were like, you know, no fuss, no nothing. You know, they apologized for any inconvenience, of which there was none. And, you know, brilliant. So I'm going to add their details in the description below, just in case somebody in the UK would like to order from them. Very lovely. Then I ordered this, and I think it is so pretty, and this is definitely going to go on my pillow finishing. It is so delicate and pretty and nice. I'm thinking I'm going to use it for my Miss Sunflower that I finished from the Stitchy Princess, and I want to finish into a pillow. And then again, I'm thinking these will be pillows or flat finishes or flat ornaments, but they are just like sort of golden, sort of type of metallic type of thingy that are going to go around the edges of the ornament. I think they will be nice on Christmas stuff with the golden and maybe some red sewn into it as well. So that is my sort of finishing haul. Then I am going to show you my pattern haul. And I got the new Cottage Garden Samplings, A Year in the Wood, the Ferret, and it is ever so pretty. I've got my specials or my overdyes prepared in the back of it already. And I thought it was so lovely because I mentioned Create Nostalgia shop in the previous videos already, and they have reached out to me on Instagram because they know I order with them, and they said, just to let you know, we've got this in stock just in case you want to place the order. And I thought it was a wonderful, fantastic display of customer service. Yeah, of course it's sales, but it is customer service, because I wouldn't have known. I don't follow it so closely, so I would probably have started to, you know, look into ordering it once I've seen everybody else ordering it on Instagram or on YouTube. But they told me about it and I ordered it, and it came like, I ordered it one evening and it came the next day. So yeah, it's so pretty. I didn't really like it in the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm not so sure about this one. But the more I look at it, the more, you know, the prettier I find it. I think it's very pretty. I'm going to have to, I haven't started it yet though, obviously. I just keep on talking about it. And that's because I want to dye my own fabric for it, because the Picture This Plus fabric for this is absolutely, you know, it's no chance, zero chance. And I am a bit worried that I'm going to ruin my expensive linen by it being the first time I dye something. But Mama Loves You GB has got this fantastic how-to on low immersion technique, fabric dyeing. I don't think I should be scared of it, but I am. But one of these days I'm just going to do it, you know, like I always do, and then I'm going to be done with it in 10 minutes and it's going to be great, and then I'm going to be saying, why didn't I do it sooner? And you know, I never learn. So that is definitely going to be a start sometime in the future. I wanted to show you two more of Teresa Kogood's charts. This one was last month's freebie. A gift from one's heart is a treasure beyond measure. And I think one day this is going to be a very nice smalls exchange, like really, really lovely gift. I don't have anybody to do smalls exchange with yet. I've never been to a cross-stitch retreat. There's, like, to my knowledge, there's nothing like the cross-stitch retreats like you guys have in the US, or, you know, the Stitch North that just happened, or StitchCon, or things like that. I just, you know, one day I'm going to be able to buy those flight tickets and reserve that spot, and I'm going to fly across the pond and, you know, go into one of these and meet the Stitchy friends in person, and I will love it, but not just yet. And that's the time when you see this, it's from me. Second one I wanted to show is that I bought the Love Your Family. It was again through Teresa's Patreon, where she gives an option to her patrons to buy previously released exclusive charts, but obviously this was also then released as a book on the national market. And then I've got four absolute beauties here. The first one is The Long and Winding Road by Blackbird Design. Oh, I love it so much. And the reason I particularly like Beetles designs is that in Czech Republic, you start learning language at about the age of 10, 11. Yeah, so that was in the 90s. Nowadays, I think kids start a lot earlier. But then, when I was in full-time education in sort of primary, elementary, etc., it was at the age of 10 or 11. So that's when I started learning English. And I have two older brothers, 10 years and 8 years older. So, and it was the sort of 90s, end of 90s, and that's when the computers started being sort of widely-ish available, sort of around the 2000s. And me having, you know, older brothers like that, it obviously meant that we had a computer. So I was able to come home and go on the computer. It was so cool. And it wasn't even MS-DOS, it started being Windows. And we had a CD-ROM, or a DVD, CD-ROM, I think it was. And on that CD-ROM, we had the whole discography of Beatles. Every day I would come home and I would listen to Beatles. I would translate their every word. So that was the sort of early teens it was. I would translate every word. I would learn them word by word. And until today, I think that my pronunciation is relatively okay, thanks to you know, the fact that I was singing it, I was constantly singing it, and because I was translating it, I understood the songs and I was learning all the words, and I think it really escalated my English language skills. But also it was all I did. I don't know how my parents could. My parents must really love Beatles too, and they definitely had to love me a lot for putting up with this, because every day I would just, you know, honey pie, you are making me crazy, on and on and on and on and on. I was always obsessed. I was like hyper fixated on one song, and The Long and Winding Road was one of them. I think it's a breathtaking melody, just absolutely wonderfully beautiful. So I am looking forward to stitching this. It brings back wonderful memories. And that's the beauty. I'm sure that a lot of people have got, you know, in the booklets, it always says like a little bit about the chart. So somebody might have memories of actually, you know, seeing beetles or growing up with beetles when they were active. You know, I only found out about beetles because of my age, at the point of you know, John Lennon not being alive anymore, and everything sort of was like nostalgic. It was never to return again, and I remember feeling so sad that I wasn't born earlier and I couldn't see them live and all that. But it was a very significant, Beatles was a very significant part of my life at some point. So yeah, definitely want to get the whole series. I've got Strawberry Fields, now I've got The Long and Winding Road, and I shall continue acquiring the patterns. I wasn't sure if I've shown this yet, but I have What Remains Is Love. I love this pattern ever since Sew Me Sarah. Sarah shown it on her channel. At that point, it was the exclusive. It was released in like a very limited edition with this Canadian shop, which I'm sorry I forgot the name of, but obviously in Nashville Market it was released to the wide public, and I'm so happy. It's so beautiful. The next one, again, absolute love and adoration. A Heart Remembers. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna stitch first, but I want to stitch all of it. It is full of such beautiful, beautiful things. And it's even nicer now that Michelle Mama Loves You GB talked about the sampler and about the Bellamy girl who, sorry, I forgot her full name, who was from the UK, Emma Bellamy. This is her sampler that was used as a sort of not an exact reproduction, but an inspiration for the sort of main sampler of this book, and it's all just so beautiful, guys. I can't wait to start stitching on it. And the last haul is the bells on Christmas Day. I wanted this book ever since I saw it on Elizabeth and Ken Stitch, because she did the needlebook, and I've been needing needlebook ever since. I was like, I have to have a needlebook in my life. So I bought it mainly because of the needlebook, but everything else is so pretty. So lots to stitch. Yeah, not enough time. Too much stitching. And for those who stayed until now, there is one thing that I added into my haul, keeping my lovely, wonderful, amazing Stitchy friends and viewers in mind, because I thought I really wanted to say a thank you for all that support and love and kindness that I've received ever since starting this channel, because it's been unexpected and extremely gratefully received. So I have previously shown this Mr. Fox by Cottage Garden Samplings, and when I ordered Ferret, I ordered a second Mr. Fox, and this was of course because this is going to be a giveaway. So if you would like to get Mr. Fox and maybe start stitching it with me when I finally start stitching on it, please just pop a comment down below. Use the word fox, and I will do a draw in next week's video. I will do it in next week's video already. So I'll give you a week to sort of put your comments in if you are interested. I will ship it anywhere where Royal Mail ships. So tip, you know, I was trying to find whether there's anywhere they don't ship. I couldn't find it. So, you know, but all the classic destinations of like Australia, America, Canada, US, Europe, you know, Africa, whatever it ends up being, I'm gonna send it there as long as Royal Mail says that's fine. And I would like to say what I hear everybody else saying. So I'm going to say that as well, because I know it's tried and tested and true. So please be over 18 so that I can ask for your address when you win this beautiful pattern. Please do not use words free or giveaway or anything. There are very sophisticated bots apparently that just scan comments for words like that, and then they are going to just spam my video, and it's going to go to somebody potentially who sort of has no love for cross stitch, and they just are after free stuff. And that would be such a shame, isn't it? Because I want this to go to a home where it will be appreciated, loved, and I want it to be a gift from me to a lovely person who actually spends their time watching my video, which, you know, is so lovely of you, all of you. So thank you so much. And like I said, please use the word fox so that I can use that sort of comment picker in order to be able to pick the winner. Okie dokie. So I'm looking forward to sending this out and potentially organizing some stitch along with the winner of this. Okay, now on to Flosstube recommendation. So I'm watching Flosstube left, right and center all the time. Even my husband starts being familiar with some Flosstube faces, which is lovely. And I want to highlight specifically one person today. Not that she needs highlighting, you know, from me. She is fabulous, fantastic, amazing. Her projects are just wonderful. And despite having, I think, only 3 videos, she's got like over 3,000 subscribers. That's how good she is. Of course, talking about Angie from the Tiny House Stitcher. Her channel is just lovely. I enjoy her videos ever so much. Her projects are really, really beautiful. She is so talented in finishing, in substituting her own stuff, and you know, she chooses patterns that are just, you know, wonderful. So just in case there's somebody here who's watching this and who hasn't seen Angie's at the Tiny House Stitcher, please go over and see for yourself, because it is wonderful. She is actually living in a tiny house. My husband and I have been watching this huge YouTube channel. I think it's called Living Big in a Tiny House or something like that. It's like I think it's a New Zealander who's presenting it, and we've been watching it for years and years, and we love all the tiny houses. And at some point we wanted a ship container house, you know, and we still, you know, we still say one day we dream about having a tiny house, provided that I can have a separate tiny house for my craft room and my husband can have a separate house for his for his workshop, and then we will be able to actually fit into a tiny house. I know this absolutely defeats the purpose of a tiny house and being able to downsize and live small and minimize and everything. So, but it is definitely something I'm intrigued into, and Angie does give us a glimpse on her channel into the tiny house living, and it is beautiful. And apparently she is also going to include some organization tips, because obviously when living in a tiny space you have to be very resourceful and very practical with your storage. So I'm definitely looking forward to these, as I could use some. So go and check Angie out. And this almost concludes my today's video. I wanted to just do a quick choosing of my sophisticated choosing of my Pomodoro X-Stitch project for the next week, to find out what will I be stitching on. So like I said, it's very difficult, very sophisticated. So what I'm going to do now is to just choose this card. Oh my god, you know it before I do. Christmas Moose by Panna. Oh my god, I love it. I'm so glad that I will be stitching on Christmas Moose. I'm putting his picture out here. He is so gorgeous. I'm so happy that is my next week's whip. I'm looking forward to show you next week how far I've been able to progress with it within those 30 minutes a day. And I wanted to just say thank you for watching my video again, for spending some lovely time with me, and I can't wait to speak to you soon again. I hope you enjoy all your lovely projects, one stitch at a time, and I wish you a fabulous week, and until next time, ta-da!